geodes and amethyst and different gemstones all over the ceilings. They're really cool looking places as well, not only relaxing.
We're doing it.
Welcome back to Alkaline TV. This is Douglas Dennis, the Alkaline Life Coach. This is part 2 of another video. Ice baths, Wim Hof method for chronic fatigue and other diseases. So check out this video. And also I'm doing a giveaway for $3,000 in prizes. So stick around to the end of this video to see how to enter, and you could win that. And that's not easy for me to give that much away, so definitely hit the like button and subscribe. And I appreciate all the new subscribers recently. Thank you so much for all your feedback. This video is about a foreigner, aka me, in a Korean Jjimjilbang. This is a Korean sauna with all kinds of different rooms, and I'm gonna explain what it's like and give my reaction and my review to a Korean Jjimjilbang, a Korean sauna public bath. Warning though, there's gonna be some mild humor. If you're easily offended, I think you'll be okay with that. It's not gonna be too bad. I just did want to warn you at the beginning though, so I didn't get a bunch of hateful people nagging me in the comments. It's all in lighthearted fun. So the Korean saunas are great. They have a lot of benefits, and also there's some culture shocks and hilarious moments. I'm gonna tell you about the very first time I went to the sauna, and this was actually the first meetup I had with my now wife. Before we even started officially dating, I was meeting some people there, including my wife. I went in, you pay, it's like 10 bucks, you know, an expensive one is like 14, a cheap one is like 8. They give you a little stretchy bracelet with a key on it and a number. And I'm like, okay, what am I doing here? I don't speak Korean, although I understand some now after living there for 6 years, but I'm rewinding all the way to like my first couple weeks, probably my first few weeks in Korea, which was a long time ago. This is embedded into my memories as if it was yesterday. So you get the armband. So I found a room that said men's. I just went around the corner, and I turned the corner. There was just full-on frontal nudity. Men and children. Just totally nonchalant, like a packed. I'm talking about a packed room in Seoul, Korea. There's a lot of people. A packed room of naked people, children running around, and I just wasn't expecting that. And I mean, I guess I should have considered, they might have handed me a uniform. I don't remember. I just remember not expecting that and just going in a door and just turning around the corner, and it was just like, whoa, what? And I didn't know what to do. I had like fight or flight, like a deer in headlights. I didn't know where to look, where to, like at that point, this was years ago. I'm not this uptight anymore. But at that time, I was just I'm from the countryside in the Midwest. There's no situation like this really in the US. So there's not really a comfort level of male nudity. And it's not necessarily because of homophobia. It's just, when you're not expecting you're not expecting. And I've never seen anything like that in my life, even in, you know, the YMCA or the locker room. There's some level of discretion in, I mean, yeah, without going any further, there's more funny stuff, so I'll move on. So anyway, I somehow found my way to the locker with the number, with the key. And I didn't know what I was going to do at this point. I was, you know, I was young at that point. That was, wow, that was almost 10 years ago. No one there seemed to care. No one was laughing and pointing or anything at anyone. So it seemed fine. And I thought, oh, okay, you know what? I'm going to keep going. The rest of the place isn't like that. So this is just where you're changing in the men's sauna. But I wanted to, you know, loosen up a bit, become more comfortable with my body. I respected the Korean people for being comfortable with themselves, or seeming to be comfortable. So that was in the back of my head, but that was just the first time I ever saw anything like this, so it was a major shock. Finally, you know, you put your uniform on, which is usually like an orange shirt and an orange shorts that, you know, just really baggy canvas. Then you go to a different floor where there's a co-ed floor where men and women. So that sauna was just men, where you change, and the lockers, because there's all kinds of interesting things in the sauna. But there's also another floor of rooms. It's called Jjimjilbang. It's to sweat it out. There are different rooms, each one's a different temperature, and they have different materials in them that have different supposed health benefits. So after living in Korea for about 6 years, I went to the Jjimjilbang so many different times, and I saw a lot of different types of rooms, and I really enjoyed myself in there. Actually, in other cities and different parts of the country, it's not so jam-packed busy as it is in the capital. So there's not always a million people. Sometimes there's no one. Sometimes you're maybe the only people there, or one of the only people there, and it's really nice. It's like you have an enormous, giant private bathroom with different, in the sauna, there are different temperatures of baths. There are like 4 different temperatures of baths. So there's super scalding hot, tolerable hot, there might be a green tea bath, and there might be like a lukewarm. And there's a cold bath, and usually there's an extremely cold bath also. Wow, this is quite amazing. And actually, the more I talk about that, I wish we had these in the US. I know that there are a couple, like maybe one in New York, a couple in LA, but none around where I'm at. I don't know if it would work as well in the US, maybe it would. Also, staying with the men's sauna, there are hard-boiled eggs. It's a thing in the sauna, and a little bowl of salt, and just like a big carton of eggs stacked on top of each other sometimes. And sometimes they're hard-boiled, sometimes they're like roasted. They've been put in the Jjimjilbang, which is a super hot room. And for some of the Jjimjilbangs, they have a fire in the middle of the room. Before I was vegan, I have tried those with there's a little bowl of salt you can dip it in. That unhealthy iodized salt that is terrible for you. And also eggs are terrible for you as well. If you didn't know, now you know. But it's supposedly a healthy food that you can get easily in the sauna. It's like a traditional thing. And you just peel it right there and put the shell into a little bowl, and there'll be just naked people laying out, sleeping. That brings me to one of the funny anecdotes I have. I try to be culturally sensitive, but you know, in the back of my head, things are funny to me. I just can't help it. But sometimes, and uncomfortable, and sometimes uncomfortable things are more funny. You imagine like a locker room is an aisle of lockers on both sides. There's lockers on the top, lockers on the bottom, boom, 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 going all the way down. There'll be like an aisle, there'll be a bench, and down the aisle there'll be another bench. And sometimes there would be like a guy sleeping, just full on naked, just sleeping right next to, with their genitals right next to my locker. And you're like, oh, should I squeeze in here? I mean, you live there long enough, you get used to it, and it's just whatever. But this was a funny and interesting thing. Culture shock, for sure. For example, one time, my friend saw someone doing burpees naked. I mean, that's not something that you try to see, but there'd be like people that are just doing it right in front of you, and it doesn't occur to them to put some freaking underwear on or something. I mean, yeah, but anyway, I'm not judging. I'm just trying to keep this lightly entertaining. I'm not bashing anyone's culture. I just can't help it. So it's funny. It's got to be funny. I mean, please think that's funny and make me not feel so crazy. The things that are appropriate somehow in the sauna were sometimes shocking. And also I've heard from stories from other foreigners in Korea that saw just bizarre, ridiculous things. There's a term, culture shock, for a reason. It's not just me being culturally insensitive, so stop judging me. So what other kind of things can you see in the sauna? Drunk people come in sometimes in the middle of the night because they're 24-hour places, and there aren't that many 24-hour restaurants in Korea, or restaurants or businesses or whatever. There aren't that many 24-hour things, so this is one of the 24-hour things that are open. And people show up drunk, sometimes like teenagers, sometimes older guys, in the middle of the night, and like you're trying to sleep or something, because you can spend the night at these places in the unisex room, or sometimes you can sleep in the sauna as well. Yeah, you can all the time. And you can get a little like foam pillow and a little foam thing to lay on, or there are these wooden areas where you can get a wooden pillow, believe it or not. Wooden pillow, I'm not kidding. And it has like a round divot for your head. I wrecked my neck on one of those. I didn't know how to use it correctly, and I used it on my neck. And you're supposed to like use it around the crown of your head. Man, that was a disaster. That was also my first time at that very first Jjimjilbang experience. So yeah, sometimes drunk people come in and just are completely belligerent, and it's just kind of tolerated. I mean, maybe someone will tell them to shut up, but usually it's just kind of like you have to deal with it. There's a snack bar too in the Jjimjilbang. Other than boiled or roasted eggs, you can also get shike, which is a rice drink in Korea that's super sweet and has maybe cinnamon and some other things in it, and then there's some like soft rice floating in the bottom. I used to like that back before I was healthy. And they also have some other, meshil is a really good, well, it's not good now that I know, but it's like a fermented drink made of vegetables. And yeah, I used to like that back when I was, that's one of those things that's supposedly healthy and isn't. Sorry to burst your bubble, that's not me, that's science. But I love the taste, and I partook many times in shike and meshil. But you can get like a giant tub of it filled with ice, and you can take it around with you. That was always fun. What else do they have? They've got instant ramen. I used to eat that also when I was having health problems. Go figure. Ice cream, like convenience store ice cream in the, like a drumstick in the freezer, or like popsicles, that kind of thing. That's a big popular thing because, you know, in the hot rooms. And in addition to a snack bar, most, if not all, have also a restaurant with different hours. There'll be a restaurant that opens in the morning and closes in the kind of early-ish evening. They're not open that late. Sometimes they are. And they can make sundubu jjigae, which is that soft tofu soup, and it's super spicy. I don't eat tofu anymore either. I'm just recollecting. And some other, like kimchi jjigae, other traditional Korean food. Usually it's more traditional foods at the Jjimjilbang, which are pretty tasty if you ignore the health problems I got from eating it. That's another story though. That's what I talk about in all my other videos, so I'm not really talking about that in this video. So what kind of rooms, what kind of jjimjilbangs are there? Because the word bang means room, and jjimjil, and I don't know how well I'm pronouncing that, sweating or fomenting. So jjimjilbang is a room for sweating. It's like a sweat room. They've got salt rooms, which have chunks of salt, like big crystals of salt all over the floor. So you actually have to walk through them, and they're super hot, like walking on hot sand. And you have to ow, until you get used to it, or you lay down, or you can put something out and lay on it. You can put out a towel. You usually get a towel, and you can use that to put your head on, or sometimes your feet, the bottoms of your feet are getting burnt on the hot salt crystals, so you have to put like a hand towel down and put your feet on that. It's really interesting, but the salt rooms are great. It's supposedly good for your skin and good for some other things. It also clears up your lungs, I believe. It clears up your breath, and you should stay in there for about 20 minutes, or depending how hot it is though. Sometimes there's a lukewarm warm salt room, and sometimes then there's like a super hot salt room next to it. It depends. Also, sometimes there's a jade room that has jade pebbles all over the floor. Sometimes there are jade pebbles all over the walls and ceilings, and geodes and amethyst and different gemstones all over the ceilings. They're really cool looking places as well. Not only relaxing, but it looks really cool. As long as you go to one that's clean. Once in a while you go to one that's got like used band-aids on the ground, and I'm not even making that up. Yuck. So depending on, I mean, sometimes the staff let things go, but if you go to a new one, that's better before it has been gone to the wolves. There are also cold rooms that have giant refrigerator tubes, like industrial cooler at a restaurant, kind of, with a bench in it. So like the walls are totally covered in snow, and the pipes from the cooling pipes are just covered in frost. And you go in after you get really, really hot, and it feels really good. Also, you can do the Wim Hof technique in those cold rooms. That's why I was mentioning it in the previous video. By the way, you have to watch the previous video in order to win. There's a secret code word somewhere in the previous video, part 1 of this, about the ice baths and the Wim Hof technique. There's a secret password in that video, and you have to type that in the comments here, and with the word nude in front of it. That's gonna be how to enter to win. And you can win up to $3,000 in prizes. In addition to salt rooms, cold rooms, jade rooms, there are also charcoal rooms that have like round logs that have been burnt into charcoal all over the walls and ceiling. And it's supposed to clear out the air. And some rooms have oxygen in them. There's a machine pumping out ozone that gives extra oxygen, so you can go take a nap in there and it helps detox and refresh. I talk a lot about oxygen in this channel. The whole point is getting more oxygen. The whole point of the Wim Hof breathing technique is more oxygen in and toxins out. There are also super hot rooms that have a fire built in them twice a day. There's a rose quartz room sometimes with giant blocks of rose quartz, which has supposedly a healing effect. Those are very nice and relaxing and calming. There's a wet sauna. Usually that's in the men's only area, where there's a sprinkler coming out and it's super hot. There are mud or clay saunas with different types of mud. I've seen yellow mud. I forgot the other types of mud because it was always in another language, but that's interesting. It's kind of like a clay and it helps to purify and absorb impurities. Comment below if you're Korean and you can think of any types of Jjimjilbang or sauna room that I forgot mentioning. All right, you've made it all the way till the end. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to go back to that last video and find out the secret comment along with the clue I keyed you into, the other word you have to put. All you have to do, comment that below, make sure you're subscribed, and share this on social media. And I'll notify you in the next video, so make sure you hit the bell icon. I'll see you in the next video. I hope you win. Good luck to you. See you soon.